welcome Keir and Angela. And Angela, over to you.
Well, Conference, it's a pleasure to speak to you today as your Deputy Leader and to be back in Liverpool together again after our country has endured all those that we lost during the pandemic. And at a time of national mourning, the late Queen stood for unity in the darkest of times and public duty above all else. This is her legacy. For many, this time has been a painful reminder of losing a loved one, as too many of us did during the pandemic. For others, it's a moment to reflect. For me, I think of a lifetime of public service and the legacy we all leave. Now, our duty to the next generation is to shape a future that is brighter than the past. That is our task this week, to set out the future that we should face and that should face our children. Because, Conference, I see too much lost potential. Britain deserves better, and I know we can do better. Just look at this government's record since we last gathered in Liverpool just 4 years ago. 3 different leaders, a catalogue of sleaze, waste and lies. Cummins, Patterson and Pincher back to the hilt. Chris Grayling, Grant Shapps and too much Matt Hancock. Far too much Matt Hancock. Green cards and non-doms. Tree houses and even tractor porn. Breaking the law in a specific and limited way. Queues at the airports, chaos at the borders, mountains of PPE unfit for use, billions in fraud written off, sewerage in the rivers, a Prime Minister hiding in a fridge, 3 sleaze watchdogs out in the cold, and the Bernard Castle eye test, the Downing Street crime scene, broken swings, wine stains, sick on the walls, 126 fines, more than anywhere else in the country. Rules made, rules broken, Partygate, Wallpapergate, too many gates, too little, too late, mate. And now a Prime Minister who says people don't work hard enough. Well, enough is enough. Just as our country was desperate for change in 1997, we need change now, because Britain is at a crossroads, Conference. A moment of decision about what future we all want, about what we can collectively achieve together, and about what we can be. And at this moment, what do the Conservatives offer? Lining the pockets of oil and gas executives, enriching bankers while families are starving. A tax on our most basic rights. Be in no doubt, Conference, they're coming after the most basic things that we expect. Decent work, fair pay, the foundations of a family life. Conference, so long as I have breath in my body, I will defend those rights, and including the right to strike. And when in power, we will repeal the anti-worker and anti-trade union laws this Conservative government has enacted. All of it. The Tories are not on the side of working people in Britain today. Liz Truss has already made that clearer than it's ever been. She's chosen to stand for the vested interests, for the oil companies and for the bankers, for those profiting from this crisis and not suffering from it. And it is working families who have been bearing the brunt. When I was a young mum, I remember that sick feeling in my stomach. All it takes is one break, one accident, one mishap, and you can't get by. And if your kids have holes in their shoes, their feet get wet on the way to school. If your fridge breaks, you can't feed your family. It's not a vision for a modern Britain. It is the result of years of Tory decision. Conference, families up and down the country this winter, many for the first time in their lives, are now living on the edge. And it's not just families that are suffering. Years of underinvestment have shattered the resilience of British businesses. I think of the small business owners like Pauline in my constituency of Ashton, who runs a local pub that doubles as a food bank and a community centre. During the pandemic, Pauline had to close her doors. Another small business left out in the cold by this government. And now she is absolutely sick with worry about her energy bills skyrocketing, feeling fear of closure yet again. Local pubs and businesses are the lifeblood of our communities. But at every twist and turn, the government poured money into the pockets of the cronies, leaving people like Pauline high and dry. They need the government on their side. And instead they get Liz Truss. Level down, Liz. Trickle down, Liz. And so I ask Liz Truss today, whose side are you on? When you boost bankers' bonuses but force working people to carry the can for the energy crisis, whose side are you on? Using the pandemic to pile billions into the bank accounts of cronies while nurses wore bin bags, whose side are you on? When you say the working people of this country need more graft, then deprive them of the fair pay. Whose side are you on? Conference, I'll tell you who was on my side when I needed it the most. A Labour government was on my side when I had my first baby and nowhere else to turn. A Labour government was on my side when I didn't have a home, let alone enough money to heat it. And a Labour government was on my side when I wanted to be a good mum to my kids and improve their lives. And I promise you this, Conference, that when I'm Deputy Prime Minister, a Labour government will be on your side too. I will make it my mission to spend every penny of the public money for the good of the nation, making Britain work for working people, investing in our local communities and talent, and standing up for this country. Just as we were in 1997, we're now at a crossroads. The moment of choice is upon us, our movement to show our country what we can do together. The next Labour government will pump money back into the pockets of local communities, the people who built Britain. Consider this: a third of all government spending goes on procurement, a third. More than the NHS, double the education budget. And Labour will unleash the power of procurement to drive up standards. And today I'm announcing our value for money guarantee. Our pledge to ensure that every single penny of taxpayers' money provides the best possible value to the public. We will turn the Tory procurement racket on its head so it serves the national interest and not the vested interests. Our 5-point national procurement plan will start by rewarding businesses and enterprises who pay their taxes and pay their workers properly, creating opportunities for new jobs and skills and helping our high streets thrive again. To unlock opportunity everywhere and reverse the tide of young people forced to leave their hometowns. Hand in hand with Labour's Green Prosperity Plan for green growth across Britain. And second, we will give small enterprise a level playing field at winning contracts. Where the Tories handed billions of pounds to their cronies with links to tax havens, we will ensure local businesses are no longer shunted to the back of the queue behind giant corporations with more form fillers than they have workers. We will cut red tape and streamline their bidding process, giving small businesses a genuine shot. It will no longer just be the giant corporations with the glossiest leaflets that wins. Everyone will get a fair chance. Those who put into the system and uphold good standards will be rewarded. Now, the Tories had a VIP lane. Their donors, cronies, firms with Tory MPs on their books, or anyone who could WhatsApp Matt Hancock. We will replace that approach entirely. The only fast-track lane I will allow is for local businesses and enterprises who create wealth in our communities and contribute to a fairer society. The VIPs under Labour conference will be all of you, the British public. And thirdly, we will raise standards across the economy by clawing back the public's money from those who fail to deliver for taxpayers. And we'll plough that money back straight into a dynamic, ethical local enterprise fund. Quality and innovation, not failure, will be rewarded. And by striking off failed providers, we will help local businesses thrive. Never again can we see a repeat of the scandal that has seen Tory ministers write off £10 billion on unused PPE they bought with our money, defective, substandard and unfit for use. We'll give the Tory sleaze merchants their marching orders. And instead, Conference, we will use the power of procurement to boost local businesses that work for Britain. With Labour, they will no longer be locked out of the system. And fourthly, we will guarantee transparency about taxpayers' money and how it's spent through a public dashboard of government contracts. It's inspired by Ukraine's anti-corruption blueprint. Even under the attack from Russia, they are honest about how they spend public money. So what's the Tories' excuse? They were at it again this week, refusing to come clean to the British public and allow the spending watchdog to assess the true damage of the Tories' discredited trickle-down approach. There'll be no hiding places for cronies and no corner for corruption. We will keep the receipts and we will publish them. At Conference, we won't stop there. We will back the workers who are creating Britain's wealth, demanding better for our people. Which brings me on to outsourcing. Conference, the Tories have become too dependent on handing away our public services on the cheap, and now we're all paying the price. We will oversee the biggest wave of insourcing for a generation. Today I can announce that before any service is contracted out, public bodies must show that the work couldn't be done better in-house, and will reinstate and strengthen the two-tier code created by the last Labour government and scrapped by the Tories to end the scandal of outsourced workers getting second-class pay and conditions. But Conference will go further still. Building on our new deal for working people, I can today unveil Labour's Fair Work standard, inspired by Labour in power across the country, in Wales, in London, West Yorkshire, the North Tyne, Greater Manchester and here in Liverpool. It will underpin a new Fair Work Code for the public sector, guaranteeing fair conditions, job security, well-being, proper training, rights at work and union access. And we will also create a Fair Work Gold standard to champion the very best of employers. And the Labour government will be on the side of the self-employed too. We will give genuinely self-employed workers the right to a written contract and timely payment by law, so they aren't left out of pocket and chasing invoices, because our Fair Work standard will raise standards for all. And Conference, I say this to you now because Labour just doesn't have a vision for this country. We have a plan. And we have a plan to grow a fairer, greener economy. We have a plan to rebuild trust in public office and to clean up politics. We have a plan to unleash the potential the Tories have held back for far too long. And a plan for Britain means we'll rise to the occasion just like we did in 1997. Because the Conservatives, they've made their choice, they've chosen their side, but we are on yours and we are ready to lead this country to better. A Labour government to unite this country through the darkest times ahead. A Labour government to hand power back to the people and the places that once powered Britain, and a Labour government that will always be on the side of working people. The Tories have broken Britain, but together we can rebuild it again and make Britain work for working people once again. Thank you, Conference.